Hello, hello. I am Cassie Brown, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the Amplify My Impact podcast. After years of consulting and managing programs for some of the top entrepreneurs, CEOs, and marketers in the industry, I am on a mission to expand our contribution, to grow, scale, and create more so we can do and give more. This podcast celebrates entrepreneurs who are boldly stepping up to own their calling, expand their influence, and stretch outside their comfort zone, who've decided to stop playing it small, pick up the mantle of contribution, and serve at a higher level, to lead by example and light the way for others. If that's you, then get ready to amplify. There's a fire that burns inside your soul, and we're going to ignite it into a roaring blaze of unstoppable momentum. Hey guys, welcome back to Amplify My Impact. I have my incredible friend, Holly Homer, with us today. She is the genius and brains and creative behind kidsactivityblog.com, and she's going to walk us through just not only her incredible service and where she's doing now and building her team and the crisis that we find ourselves, but just navigating and evolving your business to pivot and adapt to do things that make you happy and that you love, and profitability is also in there. Like it's not a all or nothing type of game that we're playing here. And I love and adore her. I've had the blessing of her friendship over the last couple of years. We've been through a lot together. And as we were talking to prepare for this, I was like, what the heck? Why is it taking this long for Holly to come on the podcast? So please join me in welcoming one of my dearest friends in the galaxy, Miss Holly Homer.
Thanks so much. And like I said before, I would take it one step further that I didn't even know I hadn't been on the podcast. I just assumed I had.
I think we have enough content.
And I am.
I think we have enough content and recorded conversations, Holly, that we could have a whole season of the podcast.
I know. I thought we already had a podcast.
Just launch our own. This is fun. Let's do it. So I'm really, really glad that you're here, and in prepping for the show and where we find ourselves in today's climate. First of all, I love your laugh. I love your outlook on life. I love the way that you can just you can look at any situation and find the value, find the lesson, no matter how hard or ugly that it gets. And that's just something that I've had the blessing of firsthand, walking that journey with you. Cause I remember so many times where I was banging my head against the wall. I was the one ugly crying, and you were just there, chin up, sister, let's keep going, and now here we are in this crisis that everyone finds themselves in. I think it's the first time that the world feels like a collective trauma. Whereas before in our lives, we had these pockets and individual experiences, and I'm not diminishing the individual experiences that are happening right now, but I think it's the first time that worldwide, everyone has been affected in some way, shape, or form. And your business, not only is at the heart and soul of this, of a solution, but you've practiced this over the years. As we were talking, this I have been preparing for this for years without even knowing it.
Yeah. And I would say 98% of the things that happen to me are kind of accidental. And this happens to be another one of those. It's kind of accidental on purpose to a certain extent. I think it's a strong strategy on the internet. But,
accidental on purpose.
Accidental on purpose.
Course coming out.
Yeah. You do it accidentally first, and then you keep doing it on purpose. But as a personal note, my husband and I both work from home. We have partially homeschooled our 3 teenage boys for 15 years now. So when on paper, and I run kidsactivities.com. So fun things to do with your kids, learning experiences, how to negotiate being a parent in a modern age and still have those connections with your kids. And so, on paper, I've been training for this for years. And, like we should be like the poster people, the poster family for how to survive a quarantine. And the crazy thing is I think what you said is so true, is that kind of that collective trauma that we're all, is that I found myself freaking out way more, doing way less work, being way less productive, being way more stressed, in a million different ways. And I think we all need to just kind of the first step of acceptance that there is an invisible layer of stress over us all because of the situation we find ourselves in. And so while you'd be like, well, Holly has it all together. Look what she's doing. I mean, that is a very thin veneer that will crumble and crack within, if you just tap it a little bit. But I think that's one of the reasons why I have a heart for what's going on right now, because I'm like, oh my gosh, if I am feeling like this and we've been training for years, I can't even imagine how someone who is suddenly working from home or lost their job or trying to scramble to get something done, all of a sudden their kids are home and they're educating them and they're trying. Yeah, let's just accept this sucks. We've got to figure out what to do next.
Yeah, totally. So before we get into the pivot, can you let us know, I know your backstory. I love all of your stories. You are one of the best storytellers that I know, because you have this way of inserting your humor. That is just incredible. So for everyone who may not know, how things came about for Kids Activity Blog, can you share just a little bit about it and what the mission is?
Yeah, and so it really goes back to the very first day. So I was before I was a mom, before I was a stay-at-home mom. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but before that, I was I had a career. I was a physical therapist. I specialized in chronic pain. I ran rehab clinics, and I don't know, it was a fulfilling career that I enjoyed. And then, I willingly had children, went home, and then found myself, a few years later in the chaos that is a kitchen of, with 3 little boys under the age of 5 and, just a dog and, dishes in the sink, and my husband being he's a doctor, so he's at the hospital all the time. And when you have 1 or 2 kids, you're portable. And then by the time you have 3, you're like, oh, I'm too tired to leave the house. And so one of my sanity savers was that one of my friends from college, we hadn't talked in years, but we started emailing each other every Saturday morning. And so we write these really long emails, and then we write back. And so she had 2 boys the same age as my older ones. We were running into some of the same sensory issues, behavioral problems, all this kind of stuff. And so these long emails were going back, and this went on for about a year. And I remember I was sitting in the kitchen on Saturday morning, and the subject line to her email was, I think we need to stop emailing. I was like Jody. Jody, that is what? This is the only reason I'm getting through to bedtime every day, is somebody's going to understand this at some point this week. So I opened up and she said, I think we need to start blogs. And I had no idea what a blog was. This was 15 years ago. I had never seen a blog, never read a blog. What's a blog? But she said, you go to blogspot.com and you fill out the form and you'll have a blog. And she says, you can just post what we're writing back and forth on your blog, and then I'll just come read it there. And so that's how this all started, is I started a blog that day because I'm not going to lose my friend Jody. And then a day or 2 into it, I realized, I could upload pictures. And so then I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to save me so much money, because I was scrapbooking the heck out of everything. And, scrapbooking was so expensive. You get done in your scrapbook, it cost you $130 in scrapbook supplies, and that's if you used everything you bought, So, and then I was like, oh, well then I don't have to make extra scrapbooks. I could tell my mom to come look at the pictures of the boys. And so that's how my blog started evolving, is I started just, kind of using it as a scrapbook. And then about 3 weeks in, I got a comment from someone who wasn't Jody and wasn't my mom. And I was like, what? And so I clicked on the link, her name, because it was a different color. And I write, oh my gosh, other people have blogs. Like, I didn't know anyone else had done this. And then she has like a blog roll. Her name's Megan. She still blogs today. And she had a blog roll in her sidebar. And then that is when I just dove headfirst into the blogging community, because I found a whole community of people just like me. And so many of those people that were on Megan's blog roll are like some of my dearest friends today, because we just went through the trenches of like early blogging. Like back then there was no Googling how to blog or how to do this or how to do that. Like we were in.
You were OG organic blogger, baby.
We had no idea. And so, but what I realized is that I found a community online, and it was something that supported me because I couldn't leave the house. Seems so reminiscent of what's happening today. And that's what, as I realized what was happening, and as things progressed forward, and as I started creating this as a business, that's really what the mission of kidsactivities.com is all about. It's just creating a community for people that's positive and talks more about like the connection and less about the results or making something pretty or that kind of thing.
Yeah. I love it. I appreciate it. It has just, incredible wealth of resources for kids and moms and families, or not even just moms, like parents in general. Like I love the way that you guys do that. And, your personality still, like it's fun and it's quirky and it's not just, like serious mom Pinterest type stuff. Like this is like, you can really do this and not feel bad.
In fact, if you see a beautiful picture on Pinterest, it's because we hired someone to make it and take a picture so Pinterest would accept it. But it's really like, I really just wanted like I feel like to a certain extent, we've almost given up on traditional play. And that just, I have such a warm spot in my heart for just like being a kid and getting dirty and opening up the kitchen junk drawer and just creating something. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And I think parents, that's those little moments when we just like stop the schedule and sit down, or like it's those throwaway moments that in the waiting room or in the car or, while you're cooking, or that often are some of the most memorable and the most special and the biggest bonding times with your kids.
I totally agree there. And it's, when I was a photographer and, I had a blog too, Holly, I started at blogspot.com too. So like when you talk about that, I'm like, yes. And so in between sessions or families or weddings, I would do like the in-between moments, and that is so true. It's like those little things in life, like they're unplanned. They're whatever our kids say or do or whatever. And it's just being present in that moment. And that's the kids. Like,
what? You're not in a studio somewhere?
I am not in a studio. I am trapped in my home with 4 kids. No, we've totally pivoted and navigated ourselves as a family for sure. But to get back to that, like I think storytelling is important, connection is important, and you talk about that collective and the ecosystem that you're creating there, and it's almost like that laid the foundation when you didn't even know it, like on where the future path of business was leading you. But it's so funny because we can turn around and we can look back and we can understand hindsight a lot better than going through that excruciating journey of the unknown, right? What's gonna jump out at me at this corner, and there are those straight and narrow where it's like, oh, you're running, like you can see the goal and you're through the finish line. And then it's like someone knocks you off, something comes up. So can you take us through some of your journey through the growth of the blog and the different pivots and opportunities in business. Because I was talking to a friend the other day and they're like, if I hear the word pivot one more time. So it's not that it's new. It's not that it's new. I think it's just a huge hot topic right now because a lot of people are having to stare that reality in the face.
Yeah. And, like I kind of hate the word pivot too. I mean, like just a little bit, because when you like a pivot kind of assumes that you know where you are and you know where you're coming or you're going, or that you're changing course. And sometimes, and like, I don't think that's how it happens. I mean, it's not how it happens for me. And I think when you're just, I guess we all need to like just admit to being a little bit bigger hot mess than we do it on a regular basis, because I think a lot, like I'm very vocal about having stumbled into just about every single thing that's successful on my blog right now, or in life in general, was something I stumbled into. And I need people to understand that, because it's not like I'm not the person. I try to do it now because it's that I sat down and did my weekly goals, my monthly goals, my 5-year plan. Like, no, stop. What I'm going to be doing in 5 years has not been invented yet. I know this because what I'm doing today wasn't invented 5 years ago. And what I was doing 5 years ago hadn't been invented 5 years before. And so when I am open to the fact that everything I do is a huge experiment, it's like I opened up the laboratory. But when you are running a laboratory, there's no failures. There's just data gathering. So, like I failed at a billion things, like literally. I think if we like numbered them, it'd be a billion. And, but the thing is every single time something didn't go the way it was supposed to go, there was data that was gathered from it, or something that was learned, or something that was able to be shifted. And that's why I think shifting is a better word than pivoting, because when you are, and it also, you need to be in momentum. And so like, if you right now you're static and waiting, that's the absolute worst place to be. Like, I need you just to get moving. You could be moving in the wrong direction, but moving in a direction is going to give you the ability to shift or pivot into something that's going to work better. And so that's because when you're moving, you are learning, you are gathering information, you're analyzing what's happening, you're seeing how it's going out, how it's being accepted or not accepted into the world. And that's that first step. So that's where I go. And, like I have shifted and pivoted, in circles for years. and I mean, like, and it's not always like, oh, I gained such clarity from that. No, a lot of times it's like, oh my gosh, could I just do something today that would work? So I love like, oh, Holly, overnight sensation. Yeah, no, I worked really hard for that. Okay.
Yes.
There's videos out there there's thousands of videos on the internet I cringe at. That's why I can do a video today and it's pretty decent. Or like I have over 11,000 blog posts on my blog. I want to tell you that probably maybe 150 of those get traffic on any given day. Mm-hmm. So like when you look at what did I learn from writing, 10,000 things that didn't really stick very well? Well, I learned how to write 150 blog posts that get a lot of traffic. And so yeah. I think that's where we need to stop being so conscious on the end game. And because I do believe our heart and the data will take us in the right direction if we just follow it.
Oh my gosh, that's such a powerful, I feel like it's, the word evolution has come up a lot in the most recent podcast interviews and just in our day-to-day conversations with our clients. And it is that I think momentum is totally the key. Like you can't observe new data by sitting still. Like you have to move, you have to make mistakes, you have to see the good with the bad and the ugly to have those key decision points. And the evolution that's led you to creating this, not only this blog, but where you're at now is as it grows, you're creating more and more opportunity for people to do the same. So can you talk to us about that evolution and what that looked like? Because a couple years ago, it looked a little bit different in the way that you were serving the blog community and to the way that it's grown now. And I think like this is your happy place. And I think for everyone to understand the distinction is what is Holly's happy place and what is Cassie's happy place and what is Jorge's happy. Like it's all different and that's okay. And there's not just a one size fits all model for us.
Yeah. And, it's really funny because I didn't know what made me happy. And, in fact, I think this is one of these, like, the big, what does the universe want from me?
Hold on.
Yeah. We can just cut it right there. Yeah. And like, I think that's part of the big grand experiment that, is Holly Homer's life. But, I do like one of the things that got me into the world where we met was, kind of the internet marketing world was that 2 years ago, I saw like I was having a ton of success on my blog and it was doing really, really well. But the data was leading me to believe that there was writing on the wall for some major sources of income. And so I had spoken at a conference a few years ago that Russell Brunson had also spoken at. And I just remember thinking, if I ever am willing to join another coaching program again, after some bad experiences, I'm going to look him up. And so it was a little over 2 years ago that I was like, I think it's time to like make more money per person visiting the blog. So I'll look up Russell Brunson and that, that led to meeting you and a whole bunch of other amazing people in that, it was meant to be.
Yeah, totally.
But I entered thinking one thing and then I launched, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, whatever. I blocked out most of it.
That was a very traumatic time in your life.
Very dramatic. Dramatic and traumatic. I launched a lot of that stuff that didn't sell. Let's just leave it at that. And so it threw me for a loop because, well, first of all, it's amazing stuff. Why doesn't someone want it?
Seriously.
Yeah. And then the second thing is it, it wasn't what I like. The universe, I'm slow. So like the universe has to like really knock me over to teach me something. So it took me a while to figure out this is not where you need to be. The reason why it's not selling is because that's a sign from the universe that you're not supposed to be selling that, because it's good. The marketing's good. The funnel's good. You have a huge community already. And even if they're not going to buy it, then what do we expect the rest of the world to do? So that's where I really was knocked down to a certain extent. And then, to add insult to injury, I was right. In February 2 years ago, Facebook cut my entire business income by 60% with one sentence in one policy.
Wow.
And so all of a sudden, not only am my income's like a fraction of what it had been, but I'm launching failure. You're trying to scramble to fix it. And it's not like I didn't start this before the Facebook thing happened. Like I was like, universe, like I was planning ahead and you still are not,
right.
You're not, it's not working. So it is a big bunch of soul searching because here I'm scrambling to try, like did all the right things and I did, I put together quality things all the way around. I paid quality people to put them online. and it still wasn't working. And I was just like, what do I have to do to make a living on the internet anymore? So, and so I started just what made me successful in the first part was just trying everything, trying this, trying that, video, blog posts, blah, blah, Facebook, Pinterest, any social network that ever came up, I amassed a very large following on. I mean, I have hundreds of thousands of followers on social networks you've never heard of, but that's how, like, every once in a while something hits that works. And so I was like, that's what I need to get back to. That's my that's my zone of genius, is just trying things, failing at most of them, and every once in a while something's going to stick. And in that process, I started a coaching program last year with Eileen Wilder, which was really eye-opening in a lot of ways, because I just was like, opportunities, yes. And so I also started taking on clients, on one-on-one clients. I started, we started expanding my, the team that works on my blog. I brought in a systems manager and all these things. And I'm just thinking, like, just go where the universe is leading me. And so what is this really interesting is that I realized, it's so clear to me now, but it was so vague and fuzzy for so long what had happened. But Kids Activities blog is a success, not because I'm a parenting expert, and not because I am crafty, and not because I can put together an amazing kids activity. In fact, I can't. I'm not a parenting expert. My kids would agree with that. I'm not that crafty. I mean, I'm better at actually adult crafts and decorating than like kids crafts. I'm not good at any of that. But what I'm really, really good at is strategy and hiring really amazing people who are so much better at all those things than I am. And so when I was walking out in front of Kids Activities blog as the expert, as the, let me tell you about parenting and let me tell you about this, it was inauthentic and talk about imposter syndrome. That was, that's just a big arrow at me, imposter, because that's not why the site was successful. It's not why Quirky Mama grew to 3.5 million fans. It's not because I am an expert. I'm really good at pulling the strings behind the scenes, and I love the strategy, and I love teaching the strategy. And so what the pivot has been over the last few months, which is working just so much more fun is that I have a love for teaching and I have a love for control. So when I had launched a failed course on how to make money blogging or with blogging skills, it failed. But when I bring people in and hire them on my own site and teach them from the exact same course that failed, it employs them and it makes more money for me. And so it's like, it's using what I'm really good at and pulling back and using it where and the cool thing about that, and it's one thing that really was a struggle for me when I was selling this course on teaching people how to work from home, is that a lot of people who need the skills don't necessarily have the money to learn the skills. And so when I hire someone and I pay them to go through this, and then the skills that they learn from me are then applied to my business and the asset that is, that it's like a total win-win situation. And so that's what I do. And then, so that's perfect for somebody who's just getting started, who wants to make a few extra dollars here and there. Obviously, nobody's going to be rich working for me because that's just not how it goes. And then I have a little coaching program on the side that's for more established bloggers. And some of them are in, kind of crossover or doing both, but some of them are running their own teams. And so my experience of being in the trenches of running a team is helpful on both those things. And that's my zone of genius. Yeah. And so when I stopped being that, and I was really kind of I felt like the universe was kind of forcing me into that parenting expert. When I stepped out of that and said, y'all, I'm a bigger hot mess than anyone else that's on my email list. Let's step back and let me tell you about what I can teach you though about about that, is that all of a sudden things fell into place a whole lot better than when I was just being, pushed into places that I didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah. I love it. And thank you so much for just being super transparent and vulnerable there. And not only sharing that journey, but like the aha moment through, I want to serve people and helping them work from home. It was just a completely different vehicle. Like that was the shift that needed to happen. It wasn't necessarily a course, but it was almost more like a mentoring program that's mutually beneficial for those who want to learn. They're increasing their skills, but they're actually immediately getting an opportunity to apply those skills.
It's like an internship program that's really working for someone who's really interested in it. It's funny, how we always hear like only 40% of the people who buy your course are ever going to open it, and we're seeing that too. Like, well, only 40 or 50% of the people we bring into being an intern stick, and I think we have to be okay with that. Like, it's just not a good fit. It's not anything personal. It's not anything there, and I think that's the other side of it, is when it is a good fit, it's a magical experience. And that's when you just are like, oh, I want to do this all day.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you next. Like, cause in prepping for the episode, you had said like, I want to not only be profitable, I want to be happy.
Yeah. And I've been profitable and not happy. I've been happy and not profitable, although it's really a lot easier to be happy when you're profitable. Because like when you're profitable, you just have way more options. And I think that's one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize, when like it's kind of like, outside of a pandemic, we have less stress. When you're trying to scramble to make things work, you don't have nearly the opportunities. You have to say no to a lot of things. You're running yourself ragged. You're not thinking straight. And so sometimes you have to buy profitability with things that don't make you happy. Like, I mean, like scheduling Facebook, for instance, not something that makes me happy, but something that's made me very profitable. So this is where going back to seeing everything has a price, like profitability has a price. Being happy has a price, and all those things. And how does that work together for you? So like and sometimes you're going to pay for your lessons, whether you pay somebody to coach you or you fail at something that you lose money at. There's no free education out there, or you're going to put a lot of time into it and learn that way, or you're going to follow someone and hack what they're doing. So all these things, like there's no free lunch. I mean, like we know this, but and being successful, I love the work smarter, not hard. You don't know you're working smarter until you know you're working smarter. I mean, like, so just, but to a certain extent, we are all created with a gut for a reason, and with a, kind of that, and I think one of the books that was probably the most a game changer. I mean, like I would say anything Napoleon Hill if you haven't read it, but and I would start with the obvious ones, but but I think this second one that probably changed the way I think about the world the most is A Happy Pocket Full of Money. And it's kind of funny because it's about that kind of the law of attraction to a certain extent, but a law of attraction in the momentum that you have. And I think that's what, if you're stuck and you're feeling no hope, I need you to get moving, because there's no way for you to move towards what you want if you're not moving. And so when I play little jokes on the universe, because I'm like, well, universe, I read in Happy Pocket Full of Money that I could just imagine a $30,000 check and it's going to show up, and and you know what? The universe has been kind of laughing at me and sending me money. And it's the most bizarre things, because I am, you know me, I am the most skeptical person in the world. And I mean, I used to roll my eyes at even anything law of attraction. And so the fact that I'm last month during a pandemic was my most profitable month ever. How is that possible?
Right.
And part of it is because we are not just slowly moving right now. My company is running. It's running in a direction. And we don't know if it's the direction that it will be, next month or the month after. But right now we are in such momentum that we can't help but attract things to us. And I think that's where almost the momentum is the attraction to a certain extent, is people just hopping on board.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a great observation, is the momentum is the attraction. Cause I think we're both, and I'll speak for you, cause I know we've chatted about this. I think we're both super lucky and blessed to be able to have that perspective that Dennis Waitley brought through the coaching program that both of us sort of experienced in the beta group. And I think that is the biggest gap in what people is positive mindset and vision, but then what are you going to actively do to take the steps to making that happen, right? It's not just a sitting there and it's all good, and I love that, because it's everything that you had created with the blog and that you had tried. And I wouldn't say, I love the way you were I launched the fail, but it's I think that you learn so much in everything that you do, and you find the value. And I think that's a mindset that is priceless. If you can get to that point where you don't fear failure anymore, because you need the data that's on the other side of it, good, bad, or ugly.
Data it will help. And I laugh because, for so long, things like The Secret and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh, are you freaking kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
But then I was the secret to the secret is that you just need to kind of do it. And
yes.
but then you're but what do? You do something. I think that's the secret, is you just do something, because whatever you do is going to lead you to where you're supposed to go. And that's the thing is where you are right now has no significance. It's because it's it's just your present, and where you're headed is where, that next step, but you don't and that's where the roadmap is not clear. It's very fuzzy. Those goals are goals. They're not destinations. And so this is, I feel the destinations are kind of to be announced at a later time.
If you're just going to board this train, we're going on an adventure. Some may be planned stops, others may be emergency exits, but
I mean, that slide out of haven't you always kind of wanted to slide out of the airplane on that slide?
We watched Titanic last night, and so I'm
that was not
yes,
a good
Holly,
question.
I would totally slide with you out of the airplane, but there's some contingencies.
The plane has crashed. That's the price of sliding down the slide. Okay.
There's some experiences that we can just simulate. Oh, it's been so much fun. And I love your outlook on everything, because I think, and I have to acknowledge you here, For those of you who know and have been around for a while, you know that Holly was just key in developing our weekly Friday workshops and the calls. You talk about the book A Little Pocket Full of Money, like you were my pocket of courage, like, because every time I was like, hey Holly, I'm thinking about this and what do you're like, yes, let's do it. And then, and that's the thing, like, that's the momentum. And that is the key, like, find people to surround you in environments and situations with that momentum. And even if you don't have those people to push, pull, or drag you on, it does fall on us to have that responsibility to at least be willing to take those steps towards finding it. I promise you. And I think that's like that dance between the action and the law of attraction. Like, people will come into your path that are meant to come into your path. I will never forget the first night that we met at that marketing party before Funnel Hacking Live in Orlando. And it was so funny because I literally backed into you and bumped into you. And I was like, hi, I'm Cassie. Da, da, da. And like, I feel like the rest is history. Like, that was a match made in heaven, and you were stuck with me ever since.
The only thing I remember is I think I yelled at you in the first 10 minutes of knowing you.
It was so loud.
That's the sign of endearment. And I think it's because, I feel lucky to a certain extent that I got into a lot of this before it was a thing. So there were no expectations and stuff like that. And I think those of you who came in a little bit later had expectations of what you needed to be able to do in order to earn your way in. And that was unfair of you.
Right. Don't set yourself up to fail. Like, let's not do that.
And that's why I think that's one of my big things is like stepping back and just like starting this without expectations, because I promise you can't predict where you're going to be. Like, I just promise you. So you might as well just do what you want to do and enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Holly, thank you so much for spending time with you, with us and with me, and for being that friend that like never ending, like totally always honest, that tough love, shoulder to cry on, kick in the pants. Like, you're going to do this whether kicking and screaming or smiling and skipping.
I guess I am a good parent. I'm like that parent.
I appreciate you more than words could ever communicate. And I wish you nothing but continued success in the way that you're pouring in value, the way that you're stepping up and serving, and just that the voice that you are to, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just start and keep going, and the path will totally reveal itself, which is really the hardest advice to ever follow. But I can almost say, like, everyone that I've met, that is their like synopsis of their origin story.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think part of the reason why it's not popular, like, it's not like I could, like, if I might, like, let's start a coaching program that says, heck, we don't know where we're headed. Like, no one buys into that. And I think that's why, like, I'm cautioning the world when people are super clear about where they are going or where you are going. I just give it a pause before you buy in, because that has not been my experience at all.
Yeah, I love, I mean, just in everything, I think there is a rule that we have to accept of the organic nature of life.
Love that.
We can plan all we want, but there's those in-between moments that are going to crack our armor, to make us deal with life situations that make us think or plan or do things that we never would have imagined in our lives, and the way that we receive and the way that we react. So I think, we hear organic, and within our industry, we think it's only organic type of traffic, but there really is like a beauty to having goals, having milestones that we want to reach, but also like yielding to that process and that organic nature of opportunities that God puts in front of us, those forks in the roads, those detours, like those dead ends, they're there for a reason. And we can kick and scream and fight against them, or we could yield and figure out and let it push us to the right way.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, what? I do not like the way this path is going. Let's just get it over with quick.
That's right. Well, thank you, my friend. Please let everyone know where they can find you on social media, how they can connect with you. And I know we have to follow up. We're going to be having a workshop within the Amplify My Impact community. And I'll just be honest with you guys, like this is how Holly and I's relationship is. And I think more people need to embrace this. Like, we're just going to figure out what subject she wants it to be. And that's okay, because where we're at right now could be different by the time we schedule it. Like, and that's the thing, like we have plans, but then there's also the beauty and the, like, where and what do people need right now?
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest opportunities come from the ability to be open to something that you were not expecting at any given time. I mean, hence a pandemic, but so anyway, you can find me if you have kids, and especially if you have kids stuck at home, kidsactivities.com. There is a stuck at home button on the front page that we update that information several times a day. So there's always new resources. Be sure to download anything free from the site so you get on my email list. I send something out every single day, and it's resonating well with the community because it's just been fun. And then also if you're on Facebook, the Quirky Mama Facebook page is just a fun place to be up to date on everything that's fun and amazing and positive going on in the world. And if you're interested in kind of like the strategy and building a business online, hollyhomer.com is the best place to go. And if you do have a blog or you're interested in organic traffic and social media strategies, my Blog Freedom coaching program is really good to join. It's not very expensive. And
it's opening like it's closed.
Yeah, it hasn't been opening. I opened it for 4 days and then closed it. And then I'm going to be opening it up again. That was like months ago because then the pandemic hit. And so we just concentrated on the people who were in there, what was going on with them. And that's how and it's so much fun. I was on a coaching call with them this morning, and it's just my favorite place in the world is to hang out with them. So that is going to be opening up for a little bit, and you can find information on that on the Holly Homer website. I will be adding that soon.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and we'll be sure as soon as Holly gets all of those links, we'll circle back around and make sure they're in the show notes and the resources and all of that type of stuff. And Holly, I love you. Thank you. Keep being awesome.
I love you too. And back at you on everything, by the way, girl. Thanks.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will catch you next episode. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I hope you've received value, encouragement, and exactly what you need to help keep you in momentum to grow and impact the world around you. Big or small, we all make a difference. Thanks also for subscribing, downloading, and leaving a review. This helps us reach others who need this message in their life. If you know anyone who would benefit from this podcast, please share so you and I can help more people boldly step into purpose. It is my heart's mission to help and encourage others. My internal belief that a rising tide lifts all ships. So much of what we talk about on the podcast is leading with value and building relationships through service. So we've created a collection of resources for you to continue growing, whether you are just getting started or ready to scale your business. Visit amplifymyimpact.com for show notes, downloads, programs, and more information about how to directly work with our team to amplify your impact and change the world.